Good afternoon, everyone. It looks like we still have some people joining, so we'll wait for maybe another minute and then get started. Okay, it is a minute after, and I know that we do not have a super full agenda today, so that's going to be a little bit different than past meetings. So what we may actually get done early today, but as soon as I say that, then we'll run the full time. So we'll see what happens. But good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the May 2024 System Business and Finance meeting. For those of you who don't know me, I'm Ginger Velazquez, the Executive Director for Business and Finance. And before we get started, I just wanted to mention a few housekeeping items. So you have all been placed on mute. Please type any questions you may have into the chat, and keep in mind those questions go to everyone. We do have a team that is reviewing the questions as they come in, and we will try to get to all of them. If time constrains us, we will be sure to review any unanswered questions after the meeting ends and follow up on those as well. Also, we will again be recording our meetings and emailing each of you a link to the recording. So if you have additional questions that come up afterwards and you need to review a segment of this meeting, or if you need presenter contact information, you will have all of that as well. And finally, always feel free to reach out to myself, Stacy Balmas, or Bernadette Rossmore, whenever you have questions, comments, or ideas. We are all here to serve you and assist in resolving your issues, and you will find our contact information on the last slide of the presentation, so you can reference it at any time. Bernadette is presenting the agenda, and first up is the announcements. So we have a couple of announcements to begin with today. First, we will hear from Philippe Prisvish from System Office Shared Services regarding the OBFS website decommissioning. Philippe?
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you, Ginger. Let me share my... Oh, actually, that's fine, Bernadette. You can feel free to share the screen. So yes, we deployed Business and Finance website, and many of you have already been exploring. So thank you for taking time to do that. And because of that, it's time to now decommission the OBFS website. That will happen at the end of this month, on May 31, 2024. It will be the last day that OBFS website will be live. So we've been asking you for quite some time to go and explore content on the BuzzFin website and bookmark those pages that you are frequently using. Bookmarks that you currently have on OBFS website will no longer work. Neither will save the links. If you have any links in a Word document or anywhere else that you constantly refer to, please, again, explore the BuzzFin website for that content and save those links that are on the BuzzFin website, because those will no longer work. Many of you notice that the files that you are using, whether these are forms or Word documents, reports, Excel sheets, have an extension on the URL that is OBFS. Those will continue working. They are still loaded on the server, and those will be moved in the future, but they will continue working for the time being. Also, many of you mentioned to us, and we noticed that as well, that some of the applications like iBuy very often send emails that refer to OBFS website. We are currently working with our friends at AITS to update those, and that should be completed by the end of this month. So when you receive those confirmation emails from the applications, they no longer should be referring the OBFS website. And again, if you have any questions, or if you need to navigate content on BuzzFin website and you are struggling to find it, contact us via sharedservices@illinois.edu, and we'll be able to help you anytime. So that's it. Thank you all. And if you have any questions about that announcement, I'm happy to answer them, or feel free to type them in the chat.
Thank you, Philippe.
Thank you.
And I don't see any questions in the chat right now, but again, we'll monitor that. So next, just an update regarding the Business and Finance Symposium. As a reminder, the CFO office is sponsoring the Business and Finance Symposium that will be offered at all 3 universities this fall. The university outreach team is in the planning stages for this event. The dates have been set for the symposium at each of the 3 universities, so please make note that the symposium will take place at UIS on October 10th, at the Student Union, and at UIC on October 22nd at Student Center East. The symposium will be a half-day event, and it will be held in the morning. So October 10th for Springfield, October 22nd for Chicago, and morning session. So this group can expect to receive an invitation in late August or early September. And there will be a cap on the number of attendees just due to the room space. So please make sure, if you're interested, to register as soon as possible. And if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to Stacy Balmas or Bernadette Rossmore. And one more, I think we're down to one more announcement from Jeff Weaver. Jeff?
Thanks, Ginger. Appreciate the time. Just a real quick one, as I know these meetings take a little break over the summer. Not so much luck for biennial inventory. Just wanted to announce that those cycles begin over the summertime. So anybody needing and wanting to get an early start on those, just to announce that those start over the summer at UIC. July 1, the system will be open. And again, at UIC, that certification date isn't until March 31st, 2025. At UIS, your system will open up September 1st, with those certifications due May 31st, 2025. But just real important, wanted to mention that again over the summer to get a jump on this, to complete your role assignments for these roles. We currently have, also as a reminder, we need to, the people in these roles need to complete a required certificate course for that unit contact role. And so we need the people in those roles who will be assigned to them to be completing that certificate course, so that they retain their roles for that cycle. So again, just really expect you guys will be looking at those assignments and pushing people to those roles and the training. And I see, I think Jason popped some links in there. I also am throwing in a link to the training for the unit contact certificate course for anybody who needs that link. So appreciate that. Thanks.
Thanks, Jeff. And as far as the agenda, I know Aaron Carter and Casey Puckett could not, or were on the agenda. They could not be here today. They did not have any updates. So we are going to move to the university payables update from Melissa Plattner.
Good afternoon. And as always, I know Aaron and Casey like to attend, but if there's anything that comes up, I'm happy to transcribe those questions and get them back to Aaron. So if you have things that you were expecting to ask him, please feel free to share those, and I'm happy to take those back. A few updates from the payable side of things. I was hoping to be able to show you a new drop-down field in Chrome River today in the invoice module, but we're not quite there yet. So if you've worked in the expense module, there is a drop-down that allows you to pick fiscal year. And we did not have that available in the invoice module for last fiscal year end close, but we are actively working with them to have that added. And so that will help us better make sure that those invoice transactions get posted with a June date for those first 2 weeks of July. So keep an eye out. There will be a communication coming as soon as we have that ready to go. and we'll be adding that to the production environment. The other update I have is in regards to the vendor information form. So a little bit of background as far as the university sets up vendors, our default payment terms are at net 30. And we know there's been some struggles with processing payments to human subjects directly, and they get caught up in that net 30 payment term, which is not usually what someone participating is expecting to have happen. So there's been a new field added, actually 2 new fields added, human subject and performance. And you'll see those listed on the vendor information form under the types of goods and services provided. And so if the individual filling out the form selects one of those boxes, it's going to be a flag to our vendor maintenance staff that we're going to set that vendor up to be paid at net terms. So hopefully that will be a huge improvement for those of you that are running studies and you're paying your participants directly. I do always have to point out, though, that the payment terms on the vendor record are different than payment terms that are established on a purchase order. So the overarching payment terms that will be set up with this vendor information form will apply to those transactions that are processed through Chrome River. If you're setting up a purchase order to pay somebody, it doesn't matter what default terms that we've established off of the vendor form, the terms that are established on the purchase order will override any of those other terms that we have in the system. So I just wanted to make sure we had, everybody was clear on there's really 2 sets of terms. These are really going to impact the Chrome River side of the house. And with that, I don't have any more updates. I don't know if anybody has questions, which I think there was one that just came in. Can human subjects be issued to an organization other than an individual? Not usually. If you have a unique situation where you need to pay an organization, we can work with you on that. I know there are sometimes that studies are conducted and we pay maybe schools, high schools or something. We can work with you on those, but usually a human subject is going to be an individual. If there is a performer and I pay them on a PO, can I change the payment terms on the requisition? Yes. So if there is some sort of contractual agreement with your performer, yes, you can change the payment terms on the requisition. Those will route to purchasing, and they may ask you why you want different payment terms other than net 30. But depending on the discussion with the purchasing office, there is a way to change the payment terms to those performers when you're using a PO. So I know we're all getting super ready for year end. I'll put in my ploy that if you have anything pending in Chrome River, please get it submitted as soon as possible. I think it's a testament to everybody's hard work over the last couple of months, but Payables is already seeing almost year-end level submissions of expense reports. That started to ramp up about the end of April. So if that continues, we're going to continue to be further behind than we would like as we approach the end of June. So I just beg, if you have anything out there pending that you can get in, get it in as soon as possible so we can make sure that we get those processed and paid within this fiscal year. All right, well, I'm not seeing, oh, okay, for paper vendor forms completed by participants, what is the expected timeline to be set up in the banner system? So if you are accessing the new BizFin site, there is a payables stats page where each morning that is updated, and it'll list what date in Chrome River we're processing, what date of PO invoices we're processing, and what date our vendor maintenance staff is working on. So that could give you a timeline of about how long it's taking them to get set up I will go out there and look, and I will populate the date. Oh, Derek put the link in there. That's perfect. And Jason. I'm not sure where they're at, but I think we're currently within a week of receipt of those vendor information forms. Yep, and Jill she populated the information in there on how you can look at those non-standard payment terms. All right, well, I will be here for the rest of the meeting, so if anything comes up, payables related, please feel free to put it in the chat. But for now, I will turn the floor back over to Ginger. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Melissa. And next, we will hear from Derek Briles from System Office Shared Services regarding the internal controls project.
Here.
We can hear you, Derek.
Okay. So, as you've probably heard me mention before, the deadline for resolving prohibited role combinations, according to the Internal Controls Initiative, is the end of this month, May 31st. So that is defined by policy 9.2.1. So like Melissa was saying, if you go to the BuzzFin site, right here on the homepage, you'll see a link for internal controls. And then you can come here and that's going to give you all of that information. Also mentions, that policy, what profile combinations are not allowable. And then it provides a lot of resources on the side to understand why these role combinations aren't allowable. It actually also tells you which ones can be combined. It gives you some tips for removing prohibited role combinations. It provides some scenarios, example scenarios for how to assign profiles without breaking segregation of duties. It gives you some directions on running the report that we're going to look at in just a minute, and also how to pull some information out of the security application that could be helpful in determining what steps you need to take. So to know for sure if you or someone in your department, school, college has a prohibited role combination that needs to be addressed, you can look at the prohibited role combinations report. And this gets refreshed every morning at around 7 a.m. And it shows everyone who currently holds some form of prohibited role combination. So that's a fixed asset role like unit rep or unit contact, with a purchasing role like iBuy approver, iBuy requester, P card, or banner department manager requester. And then you can filter this report and you can export data from this report. So the easiest way I would recommend is to definitely filter it down by chart. So in this case, I'll just do charts 2 and 9 as an example. Then you can filter it further by college, and you can filter it by org. One thing to make note of, and it'll mention it here in the directions for interacting with the report, that home college, that 2-digit code is unique. They don't get reused across charts, but org codes do. So there is a chance that you could select chart 2 and then org code 410, and you would get no results on the report. If that's the case, the report's working correctly. It's very good news. It means there's no one with prohibited role combination in that chart org combination. Since org codes do get used duplicatively across charts, it will still show up as an option, but if you don't get any results, it just means you don't have anyone to worry about. So that's very good news. You can even go all the way down to the purchasing role and then the individual. And the easiest way to interact with it is probably to download it. So there's a button here at the bottom. You can click on data. I don't know what I've done wrong here. Let's try that again. Let's click on data. And then you can download that as an Excel file or a CSV. That's much easier to engage with. So if you've got a lot of departments to look across, that's easier than interacting with the Tableau dashboard. If you're looking for just an individual, it's probably just as easy to just pick them off of this list than to have to download that report. But it is very important. So there's still, as you can see, 130 people that hold some form of prohibited role combination. All of those people need to take some sort of required action by the end of next week. If no action is taken, then anyone who remains on this report will be at risk of losing their access. This is not allowable, right? These are not role combinations that are allowable. It's clearly against our policies. So some action has to be taken to rectify this situation. You have really two options. One is to remove the role combination. And, back on that landing page for internal controls, there's lots of suggestions here and resources that you can look through to get ideas of what you can remove. Sometimes there's very easy things that you can do, like switching an iBuy approver to an iBuy executive approver. Lots of easy things that can be done, but there are situations where there's just nothing you can do, typically in a smaller department. It does take a minimum of 3 people to hold these roles while maintaining the necessary separation of duties. And not everyone always has 3 qualified people to do that work in their unit, in their school. So if that's the case, you do have the option of submitting an exception request. You can go to this page and it will give you all of the information about it. So what this does is allows you to keep the access that you have today for a maximum of 2 years. And it gives you the same access, but there's a identifier on the role that keeps the report from reporting that as an unallowable combination. So as soon as you get the exception request approved and your USC puts that request in the SECAP, that individual or individuals will drop off of that report. If this is something you need to do, I would recommend getting started as soon as possible. It requires at least 3 levels of approval. So that's unit head, college, and university. And at UIC, there is a 4th level of approval that's specifically the dean of the college where this access exists. So going through that full approval process takes time, and you need to have that approved before the end of this month. So there's a lot of information and directions about how to do this. You can also watch a video that walks through the entire process of submitting and approving an exception request. And then you're always welcome to reach out to us in shared services if you have any questions or concerns. And I can put that email address in the chat right now. And it seems like we also have a couple of questions. I mean, any and all the access could be removed. I mean, very likely if anything gets removed, everything will get removed because it cannot remain as it is. So definitely get out there, take the action that you need to take, and make sure that access does not. No, we will not reach out to negotiate a new date. We've been communicating about this since November. And we're also sending weekly emails to every individual that has one of these prohibited role combinations. So there should be plenty of advance notice. So really, again, please don't wait. It really does need to be done soon. So again, if you don't see your org code or anything on that report. It just means you don't have a prohibited role combination to worry about. That does not show all charts and all orgs. It only shows charts and orgs in which someone does have a prohibited role combination. So if you don't see your chart or org or college on there, that's great news. It means you're off the hook and don't have to do anything. No, there is no P card option. And that's fine. You don't have to have an ICE version, an internal controls exception version of a P card and your fixed asset role. So if you have like unit rep and a P card, all you need is the internal controls exception version of the unit rep. There's no reason that you would have to change your P card and your fixed asset access. It's just either or. So the people that you submitted as approvers in your request is who you should follow up with. They are getting daily emails about approving your request. So they should know about it. They're getting a link every day to that request of yours for it to be approved. But that is who you'll need to reach out to. If you can't remember who that is, you're also welcome to reach out to Shared Services and we can help you do that. I'm not sure what the screenshot is, Sadie, but yes, those are the options that we have. All of those have ICE variants in the security application that can be requested, which will take care of the issue. We won't remove access without reaching out to anyone first, but I mean, it is still the responsibility of the unit to comply with the policy. And yes, there is still a conflict if P card is under 2.5. That is something we've discussed, but that has not been approved yet. So there will still be a conflict even if the individual purchase limit is under the equipment threshold. And then the blue squares, that's a great question. That's just allowing you to do a deep dive into the various org codes that they have access to. So essentially every blue square is a different org chart org combination. But yeah, any other questions, you can use that Shared Services email address. We're happy to help you find status of your current request, figure out what steps you need to take. If you just need some like consultation, we're happy to help. We don't want you to have to do this alone. No one, this is not fun, right? No one wants to do this. This is just extra work that's annoying for everyone. So don't go it alone. If you need help, we're here to help you. Thanks.
Thanks, Derek. It looks like you covered everything that was in the chat. So we will now hear from John LaRoe, Assistant Controller from UAFR, with tips to prepare for the fiscal year 24 year end. John?
Hello, thank you, Ginger. I'm going to go ahead and try to share my screen if everybody doesn't mind, so I can run the slides. Just let me know when you can see that. Can you see that, Ginger?
I don't know if that's your screen or, oh, it looks like it is your screen, not Bernadette's. Yes.
Okay, thank you. Well, thanks again, everybody. This is just, I'm from UAFR once again, and this is just our annual year-end presentation, just with some of the stock reminders and things to think about as we're heading into that time of year. So thanks for the time today. So first off, as everybody knows, we now have all these great new websites. So this is a link to the year-end procedures webpage that we have on the new website. Has a lot of similar information that's been on there from prior years. And if you get a copy of this presentation after the BMG meeting is over, as you can see, there's a lot of good hyperlinks in here that'll take you straight there in case you're having trouble finding things. I know sometimes, you know, me included, I have to retrain myself on where some of these things are located. So hopefully these links throughout the presentation will be helpful if you'd get a copy of the presentation. So one of the primary things on the year-end website that you'll find is the ever important closing and opening procedures that we have every year. So this intro little paragraph on this print screen just kind of gives a quick summary of what's included in this important document. But it's really just a great thing. I always recommend to people, open it up here while we're in May and still planning, take a good read through it, get your ducks in a row, and maybe even just save it to your desktop or just go straight to the web page and open it up every year, or excuse me, every day, just to see what the deadlines are, because there's a great list of deadlines in here that say, what's happening on a certain day, what needs to be completed by this certain day. So it really does help keep you on track and make sure you don't miss any of those important deadlines. In addition to the deadlines, it just has a lot of other great educational and informational information about year end. So it's really strongly encouraged to take a good read through this document as we get closer to that time. So as far as the days go, this is also within the year-end closing letter, but the last day of business for period 12, which is probably the most important for everyone on this phone call, is Friday, July 12th. So what that means is that is the last day that you can backdate any of your transactions to June 30 for FY24 period 12 business. So that's a really important day. Once we get past that day, we're officially into period 14, which is the next couple of weeks, as you can see here in the second bullet, and that ends on Friday, July 26th. But there is very, very limited access during period 14 of who can actually make entries. So since your unit cannot make entries during period 14, it's really important that you get most, if not all of your business wrapped up by Friday, July 12th. So I just wanted to point that out. Another great thing to do as we're planning is to sign up for one of the year-end webinars. Now, as you can see here on May 21st, we just had the first one yesterday. So if you missed that one yesterday, then June 4th is the next option. So we have links here, but that's always a great presentation. Goes over a lot of big picture things to go through, the year-end closing letter, those sorts of things. So if you didn't get to go yesterday, I'd highly suggest making sure you get registered by that June 4th session. Another really important webpage to take over is this link to the year-end deadlines for labor redistributions. If any of you are subscribed to the UAFR weekly tips, I believe we sent out an announcement on this a couple weeks ago with a lot of the intricacies. But if you happen to miss that, you can either get that from the News Center online and go back and take another read of that, or you can simply come to this webpage, which has a lot of this important information. And just given the intricacies of the timing of how the payroll schedules run and so forth, it's really important to kind of be aware of that and to know what the deadlines are for processing labor redistributions when things are going to post. So for any of you with payroll issues, which I assume is pretty much all of you, this is really going to be important to get a grasp on and get a good understanding of as we head into the end of the year. And those of you with self-supporting funds or service plan funds, the year-end fact sheets webpage is another really important one to go through. So similar to prior years, this webpage has a link to the application. It has helpful job aids and reference materials to look at to get you acclimated and ready for reporting your year-end fact sheet information to us. And we've also made some nice user-friendly improvements on the fact sheets this year that we think everybody will enjoy, and hopefully will make your job a bit easier. So we'll see how those go, but we're always open to more ideas. It's just an ever-improving process. But as most of you know, the accrual deferral and inventory for resale adjustments, those are really heavily looked at by the external auditors through the audit process. It's a heavy point of emphasis for the audit. So it's really important, really, no matter what dollar level of the transactions you're dealing with are, to get those reported on the year-end fact sheets. So speaking of the year-end fact sheets, we actually have 2 webinars coming up for this as well. We took a little different approach this year. Given we had so many new fact sheet processors last year, we decided to have 2 sessions this year. So on Tuesday, June 25th, we're going to have a beginner session. So if you don't have much experience, really don't know anything about fact sheets, this will be a good introduction just to say, what are fact sheets? Why are they important? What's some of the logistical things of, how the application works, those sorts of things. while the advanced fact sheet session on Thursday, the 27th, is more for the advanced users who've been there and done that and kind of know the basics, but they want to know more about some of the intricacies or some of the unique issues that we run into to get a little more educated on that front. So they're not long, they're just an hour long, 2 to 3, as you can see. So hopefully it's not too much of your time. As you can imagine, I'd highly encourage that you register for one or both of these as your experience level lines up with. I know I've already mentioned the UFR Wiki tips, but as we get closer to year end, our tips get more and more focused on issues related to year end. For example, I know coming up soon, I'm sure we'll be sending some tips out about things like deposits in transit and how those work and why it's so important to make sure you get all your cash and checks and everything deposited with the First Hours Cashiering Office by the stated deadlines in the year-end closing letter. So we don't have deposits in transit to record, or, weekly tips about, keeping a close eye on your state funds and making sure you're using the right state fund on your different entries. So, if you don't get those, just keep an eye out. Those usually come out on Wednesdays, I believe. So just another good tool to take a look at as they come. And finally, to wrap up, we just have a few random tips on a couple of slides just to have some common errors that we see. So just a reminder to be careful as you're processing your transactions. So first off, as we get into July, especially those first 2 weeks, especially, as period 12 is wrapping up, there's really going to be 2 years open. So you just really need to be careful about the transaction date that you're using on your journal vouchers or transactions to make sure they're posting to the correct year. So a lot of times we'll see somebody post an entry and they'll forget to backdate the transaction to June 30th. And then they're looking for it in their period 12 statements and it's not anywhere to be found. But then they go back and say, yikes, I actually used a July date instead of a June date. So then that means the transaction would have posted to FY25 instead of FY24. So just make sure you're always double checking the transaction date before you complete that entry. And on a similar front, of what I was just mentioning, just in addition to the date, make sure you're using that right state fund code. If you're trying to clean up some of your activity on the 1024 fund for year-end close, don't only make sure you have the right transaction date, but also make sure you have the right fund code, because we see a lot of other similar errors with the fund code being used incorrectly. So that's always tricky because there are 2 fund codes open during that time of year. And on state funds too, let me mention one more thing. So state funds are unique, where this 1024 fund code is really going to be open for a total of 14 months. So even when period 12 is closed and you no longer can post transactions for period 12 business of FY24, this 1024 fund is still going to be open through August 31st. So you basically have the first 12 months, July 1st through June 30th, obviously. But then the state allows us what they call a lapse period for the periods of July and August, where during the first 2 months, the first 2 periods of FY25, you can still post correcting transactions and so forth to your 1024 fund. So that's another error we see quite a bit, where units maybe don't keep up on their reconciliations on a timely basis with the prior year's state fund, which would be 1024 in that example. And then we'll get phone calls in September or October saying, hey, I posted in some expenses to 1024 when they actually should have went to the 1025 fund, or vice versa. And they say, can you reopen that fund and let me correct that? And our answer, unfortunately, is always no, we cannot reopen that fund once the lapse period closes on August 31st. So as you're going through July and August, just make sure you keep a really close eye on all of your CFOPs that have the 1024 state fund in it, and make sure everything's corrected and posted correctly by the end of the lapse period on August 31st. Another quick note to keep in mind, if you have any CFOP segments you actually want to terminate that you're not using anymore, such as a self-supporting fund, a program code, really any sort of CFOP segment, try to get that into us as soon as you can. Sometime around mid-June, we actually quit processing termination requests. So if you get it in before then, there's a good chance that we'll be able to knock that out for you, assuming there's no dependencies tied to it, such as payroll appointments and so forth. But anything we get after mid-June or so, we unfortunately have to sit on due to the year-end complications that surround those terminations. but then we'll reassess it and pick it up again in August to terminate it for the new fiscal year if we don't get to it by mid-June. And finally, if you have any funding transfers that you have to do, to address the deficit and so forth, just make sure it's in compliance with the different restrictions surrounding those fund types. For example, if you're transferring GIF funding around to cover deficits, make sure you're transferring it to an allowable fund type, which would be another GIF fund. Then also make sure it's allowable per the donor intent restrictions assigned to the GIF fund is funding the transfer. And another common one we see too, if you're doing budget transfers between state funds, ICR funds, those sorts of things, make sure you are not just processing budget or funding transfers through expense account codes. You actually need to work through the budget office and get those processed as a budget, as opposed to, lump sum expense transfers. So that's something else to be careful about. And finally, I know I went fairly fast here, but given all the details involved in the year-end close process, if you ever do have questions, just reach out to us. We've got a great team at UIFR with a lot of really knowledgeable experts in various areas. And as the year goes on, we tend to work later and on weekends. So if it's a Saturday afternoon or if it's a weekday night around 7, 8 o'clock, don't hesitate to call us. We'd be happy to take your call and try to help you out as soon as we can. And finally, as far as who do you call, just go to this who to ask list on the new business and finance website and just type in your keyword search, the problem that you're dealing with, and the applicable subject matter experts should come up for you so you know actually who to call. All right, so Ginger, that's about all I had. So I want to thank everyone in advance for all your hard work we have ahead of us. It's much appreciated.
Thanks, John. Good and definitely timely updates. And I think everything in the chat was just information that Jason had inserted. So Jason, thanks for doing that. And we will now hear from Brian Zump with updates from the Business and Finance Policy Office. Brian?
Thank you, Ginger. First, looking to policies that will be new to the policy manual. The Policy Office is working with subject matter experts on policy reflecting the new Legislative Audit Commission guidelines you may have previously heard about, and updates on this and any other policies that I discussed today or that come out during our upcoming summer break from regular meetings will be made available via Business and Finance News. And as always, feel free to contact us during these summer months if you have any questions about the status of anything that you've heard or anything that you heard might be coming up on the horizon. A new policy is being developed for Section 12 property accounting to address proper procedures for the trade-in of unneeded system equipment when purchasing new like-kind equipment. Also, upcoming in Section 15, we have a new travel insurance policy requiring system paid for travel insurance for international travel that will be published in the near future now that the individual university application portals are almost ready for use. As I said before, the announcements will go out via Business and Finance News when that requirement is in place. And with regard to updates to existing policies, the rewrite of the business meals policy 8.1.1 is still being reviewed by our subject matter experts and related groups as the policy's details and allowed business meal examples continue to be refined to provide additional clarity for real-world applications. Our subject matter experts have reviewed the open comments to the proposed updates to the one-time moving payment relocation policies 811.1 and .2. The intent of the changes to those policies is to make it clear that these policies are not to be used to provide such payments to graduate students, and we are examining the method of possible payment for moving payments to graduate students as we speak. Newly numbered policy 15.1.2, headquarters and travel commuting to university for fully remote employees, was published along with updates to Section 15 travel coming out of the annual evaluation process. And note throughout Section 21, merchant cards were recently added to the applicable policies and term definitions to clarify that merchant units may not pass credit card processing fees on to their customers in the form of credit surcharges. Instead, it's recommended that merchants factor the anticipated expense into the price for their goods or of their goods or services. As always, you can contact myself, Stacy Balmes, or Zach Langheim, or use our web address on the policy page to get all three of us at once. And if there are no questions, I'll thank you for your time and wish you. What about international fees charges? Ruby, can you clarify that a little more? I'm not sure exactly what international fees and charges in relation to which policy.
Are you referring to the travel insurance?
So sometimes have online platforms have a fee. So the travel insurance is being provided by the system is providing the portals for the travel insurance. So the travel insurance is something that the system has already negotiated with a particular insurer, and then the applications. And yeah, Stacy's asking, are you talking about travel or merchant card updates? So with regard to the credit card processing fees, that is a universal application that you are not allowed to pass along credit card processing fees. I'm not seeing a clarification. Feel free to contact myself directly. Okay. When using a T card overseas, we get charged international conversion fees. And this is in relation to.
Yeah, and that's I don't know that the international conversion fees would apply to the fees that Brian was talking about. However, I don't know if that is true. So we will look into that and get back to you. That's a good question. I don't know that we have an answer right now.
Okay, some notes in there that we will take back to our subject matter experts for clarification. And I will take the names of those that were questioning it, and we will get back to you directly once we have an answer. If there's nothing further, thank you again, and have a great summer.
Thanks, Brian. And next up is Nadia Torrance from Procurement Diversity with updates and a vendor introduction. Nadia, the floor is yours.
Hi, everyone. Can you all hear me?
Yes, we can.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Nadia Torrance. I'm with the Office of Procurement Diversity here at the University of Chicago. And I would like to introduce Asha Shibu, who is the talent acquisition and account lead for Agile End-to-End, where they manage different solutions for transformation and support surrounding project needs. So at this time, I will extend the mic over to Asha and her team to elaborate more on their services. Thank you.
Thank you, Nadia. Would it be okay if I shared my screen?
Sure.
Thank you very much. Shashi, I'm going to let you talk. You're on. Let me share my screen.
Thank you, Asha.
Shashi?
Yep. Can
Go
you
ahead.
hear me?
Yes, Shashi.
Can you hear me, Asha?
Yes.
Okay, great. Thank you so much, Nadia, for giving us an opportunity to present to the audience here. It's a very diversified audience, and it's a privilege to present our capabilities. My name is Shashi Singh. I'm the founder director of Agile End-to-End, and we are an MBE DB VP certified company. I'm a graduate of University of Illinois Urbana-Champaign. I went for my MBA in this college, and a very proud alumni of this college. So Asha, you can go to the next slide. So as I mentioned, we are MBDB certified. We are local to Chicago. We travel to Springfield to meet our customers. We go to if needed, local to Illinois, anywhere. So we can make ourselves available to the customers as and when we need them, when they need us. And diversity and inclusion is in our DNA. We make sure that everyone is well represented in our company. We eat our own dog food. Not only we are talking about being a diverse company, but we also have a diverse workforce. This company is founded with a group of Agile coaches, and the name of the company is Agile because we try to bring Agile best practices in projects across multiple domains, whether it is a finance project or it's a technology project or it's a transformation project. So Agile best practices is in our DNA, is in our core competence.
Shashi, you might want to speak a little louder.
Okay. Thank you, Harish. All right. I'll be happy to answer any questions in course of the presentation here. If you want to stop us at any point of the time. Jane Jones on the call, she's the head of business development. She works with our customers, understanding their pain and frustration, understanding their needs, building relationship. Asha Shibu, she's the head of talent acquisition, who you just heard. Harish Gupta, he is an advisor on the business transformation and digital transformation. Stacey Hennigan, she heads our PMO practice, anything to do with PMO. Matt Trapani is going to talk about ServiceNow and how AI is changing our technology landscape and what are some of the things that we have done using AI on ServiceNow. And Michael Crawley is around cybersecurity and also on ServiceNow. The value proposition we wanted to focus on this slide is, we are a small company, and I heard a lot of folks from the finance team here on the call. What keeps us awake at the night is our cash flow, right? As a smaller company, how can we do more with less? This is what we're constantly thinking about. How do we run the business of today? Let us prepare ourselves for tomorrow. And that is to operating on a shoestring budget, right? So always thinking about how we are going to be efficient, how we are going to transform our workforce to be agile and lean and motivated. At the same time, our challenge is how to retain them, as most of the companies and university may be facing. How to retain the talents that we have in the competitive landscape. How to train them, how to keep them motivated. At the same time, we might have the best of the best technology, but it is these people. How do we train them to modernize our technology to make our lives easy? So a digital transformation program, but we keep people at the center of whatever we do. Maximizing value. We are looking at every dollar that we spend. How do I get value out of it? That is something we always are thinking about. And that brings us to prioritization. How do we prioritize what we cannot do everything? How do we prioritize and achieve the top priority, which delivers the best value for us? We have deep experience working with the private sector, which we can bring to the public sector. That tailors or that might have the public sector. So we bring that experience, but we also bring experience working with the public sector. We have worked with Chicago Public School. We have done the assessment for them for the fit for multiple technologies, their processes and methodologies. We have created recommendations for them. We have run a transformation for University of Illinois AITS department, AITS. We work with Stephanie Dabble, and her interest was on bringing agile mindset to the team, and we ran a 6-month project for them. So we have footprint and intimate understanding of how the university works. At the core of what we do is, no matter what work we are doing, we're translating that into projects, whether it is a new process or a new tool, a new technology. And we handle it very well because we build a cross-functional team so that we can, save on the soft cost. Because there are two things that we can do: hard cost and soft cost. Hard cost, we can modernize our technology, our tools and processes. But if people are not collaborating across multiple functional areas, it can cause delay. There's a lot of waste, and there's a lot of opportunity to remove that waste and cut the soft cost on a project. So what we bring is with Agile, the best practices that we implement with the collaboration and team player and transferring knowledge among multiple people, or encouraging people to work outside their silos, bringing that Agile mindset. You can do more with less. Because because day by day we're having more to do as we plan to modernize our technology, but we have the same workforce. So how do we move? That means we have to agilize our workforce, transform our workforce. So we provide those transformation consulting services, PMO, an agile project manager, an agile business analyst who is focused on delivering value, who's focused on building a high performing team. And we came, and when we work with AITS, we did training for them. It's not that, hey, come on, do Agile. We did training for them, how the Agile project manager works, how the Agile business analyst works, how your team will work, and how we will build a high performing team, how we will cross-functionalize the team, and how can we show you that when you, instead of building the entire solution and then the entire solution being rejected, how do we build a small piece of it? Whether it's a process or technology, a small piece, and deliver to your customer and get the feedback from the customer and refine it. So involving the customer or the end user, whoever is using it. And this was a security application that we were working on. So let's get the stakeholders involved early in the game and prioritize what exactly are they looking for. And what can we deliver in the first 3 months? And then we build the next 3 months, and that's the 3 months, so that we can reduce the sunk cost on the project, just in case if we have to pull the plug on it. So this is what we specialize, and governance is a big part of it. Once we have built it, how do we make sure that everybody is using the tool or technology or the process methodology the way it should be, and to maximize the adoption as well. So this is in brief. I want to talk to you about our expertise. We have also transitioned a lot of PMOs into an Agile PMO, training them to transition into Agile project managers, Agile business analyst, Agile DevOps engineers, and also the PMO director. How do you tailor your reporting, so that it's more agile, more value-based? So we have done that for multiple organizations, and we can bring this to the table. Are you able to hear me clearly, here, Nadia and the team?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay,
Yes, we can hear you.
Thank you. So now we are just like a small company like ours, we are thinking about building new capabilities. So new capabilities we have to build in our workforce so that we can retain them, keep them motivated, and they can work with modern technologies. Now AI is in the picture. At the same time, we're bringing new technologies, new capabilities and technologies that has to be implemented, right? And how do we marry the two? And university also might be thinking about how do we save money? Can we move to cloud? But is there a real savings in cloud? Do we move everything, or do we, pilot and move a few things on the cloud? So we have that expertise to help you to do the assessment. And are you going to get the savings? When is it going to translate into savings? Forecast the savings. Everything is turning mobile. So we have, a lot of applications have to be on mobile with a better UI, experience for the customers. How can we develop those applications, deploy those applications on the mobile? Change management is a big part of it. No matter what change you bring to the table or bring to the organizations, whether it is a process, a new process, new methodology, or it's a new technology. I mean, a lot of places that we work with government agencies, what we experience is it is not totally adopted. So there's a lot of waste in the investment. So we can realize more value if we prepare the organization to adopt the new technologies, a new process and methodology, and we specialize in that change management process as well. Harish, is there anything that you want to add here?
No, Shashi, I think we are good. Just one thing I wanted to add is that we not only support the technology side of the world, right, during transformation, but also we handhold the business users or the end users in walking them through the entire transformation program, whether it is, supporting them in articulating the requirements properly, creating, test cases, use cases for them, walking them through the day in a life, right, and helping them go through the entire test cycle so that they can better adopt the solution once it goes live into the production environment. So that's what we do as part of our offerings as well.
Thank you, Harish. Just to give an example, we were working with an agency, state agency. They had a 30-people team to support and maintain in multiple applications. That was an article. And we worked with them, and and introduce a new process called Kanban, where they can prioritize their tickets. We don't have to solve everything, and they can watch the capacity of the team as well. So with the prioritization from the business and keeping in track the capacity, we were able to make it more efficient. We were able to evaluate which ticket is having the maximum customer impact. Let's fix that first. And there was better communication between the stakeholders and the team and enhanced customer experience. So these are some of the ways by small changes we can maximize the gains and value for our customers. Any questions from anyone so far?
I don't see anything in the chat.
Okay. Asha, would you like to address this?
Oh, absolutely. Hi, everyone. My name is Asha Shabu. I head the talent team here. I'm not going to take too long. Staffing is one of the strongest arms that we have. I know Shashi mentioned a lot of things that we do in a lot of spaces, but at the heart of everything, our consultants are our asset. We provide the governance and the oversight, of course, but the consultants we have are the ones who bring those specialized skills to our clients, in this case, the university. Every company does staffing, but we have three differentiators. We have a T2 staffing model. We commit to delivering 2 quality candidates within 2 days. And this is a magic formula that we've hit upon and have been very successful with. I run a lean staffing team, a set of recruiters who are really good at what they do. Number two, the differentiator that we bring to the table is that we understand people, we understand the market, and we understand the importance that each consultant we staff with the university has to be a great cultural fit. And that's why our consultants are able to hit the ground running from day one when we be it a technical specialist or a managerial role. Number three, we're able to build capability and scale. We just set up 6 Scrum teams for our client BMW for a mobile application upgrade that they were working on. Everyone from the project manager to the Scrum Master to the BA down to the QA, we set it up within a few weeks and had these teams up and running. We provided CPS as of 3 weeks ago with an excellent PM, someone who needed to have specialty in the SIS Aspen. He's doing great work there as well. Some of the roles that we can staff for you, some of the capabilities that we have, I've listed them down on the slide below. Of course, if there is a follow-up conversation needed about either setting up entire teams for projects or strategic staffing needed for, project-based staffing needed, I would be happy to, pick up this conversation. One thing that we do with each of our candidates after hire is something unique. We have a weekly touch point with every single one of our candidates every week, talking to them about, are you facing any impediments? What can we do to help? Are you seeing any gaps in, is there any upskilling that we can help you with? And we have a team that does tailored training to each of our consultants as well. That's something that we're very proud of. And that's resulted in our candidates or our consultants staying on for a long time on projects. I'm going to hand it over to Matt now, who's going to talk a little bit about how these beautiful consultants that we have, about some of the extraordinary work that they do in the AI and next gen space. Matt?
Sure, thank you. I think I'm being heard. So I'm Matt Tropany from Deerfield, Illinois. Thank you for having me today. So what we've done here is, as we all have deployed and used ServiceNow, from what I understand, in our enterprise, typically we focus on out-of-the-box functionality or configuring it, customizing it, and even integrating it, sometimes even building specialized apps in a scoped application, they call it in ServiceNow. But on top of that, ServiceNow has taken a major leap into the AI world, the Gen AI world. And with that, throughout the past year and a half, we've integrated something very neat that we're going to talk about in the next slide. And that talks about how Gen AI can work with risk management, with normal ITSM and other applications. So in this slide, we talk about, this is one of the applications, but it's a platform that runs on ServiceNow. And within ServiceNow, it can integrate with all the other aspects of ServiceNow. So if there's an existing risk management function or GRC, all the other kind of configurations, it connects the existing data on the inside, and on the outside, it's actually a chat bot that generates content while you chat and learn from it. The benefit is that the user experience is very simplified for those that are not trained on ServiceNow. So with zero training, you can go and utilize any kind of app on ServiceNow as it integrates with all the backend data and workflows and whatnot. In addition to that, as you can see in the bottom right corner, it talks about how beyond ServiceNow, it can integrate with other AI engines and data and applications outside of the whole ServiceNow ecosystem. So we have one for integrated risk management called IRMA, but we have additional ones in mobility management and other areas that's very highly customized. You can see in the bottom left, you can see on the how there's a chat experience, and then on the right side of that screen, and then in the middle, you'll see that a screen just popped up. And that's because the GenAI learned that that particular user has an interest in fulfilling one function. So anyways, long story short, we are experts in deploying ServiceNow, IRM, GRC, and other areas within ServiceNow, of course, including SecOps and BCM. And we've integrated GenAI to make the user experience far more expansive, yet simple to work with.
Yeah, and thanks, Matt. And this kind of, I mean, our GRC experience that Matt just alluded to kind of resonates with what Derek Price just spoke about, like just 15 minutes back, about the user provisioning and the governance, risk, compliance, control. So it kind of aligns to the offerings that we are offering in that space to streamline onboarding, risk compliance, and governance strategy around what UEFI is doing and will continue to do in the future. Shashi, you're on mute just now.
Yeah, sorry about that. So this slide is a slide of the footprint that we have. So we have understanding of the university. As I mentioned, we did a pilot project for SecOps for AITS, where we build a team. We train the entire team on Agile best practices. We help them tailor their even the processes. It's not that we are very Agile dogmatic. Agilize the process, tailor it to bring in some good Agile best practices. We train the business owners, the product owners, the project managers, and then we showed them some of the benefits. So we have that understanding. CPS, we have some footprint in CPS, working with the PMO of CPS, helping them, simplify their processes, working with some technology assessment. We also have done with Gartner an assessment for City of Chicago, which is on their website. How do they modernize their technology and also their workforce? Both are equally important. We have done assessment for Department of Employment Security as well, as they look to modernize their technology, get rid of their technical debt. So this is some of the, we have worked with Student Assistance Commission. So far as, their UI is concerned and some of the technology staffing that was needed. We are working with CTA, Chicago Transit Authority, again, helping them streamline their procurement process. So one of the things that we were looking at is, when they want to outsource certain needs, they want to buy from outside, how quickly they can come up with an RFP. Coming up with an RFP requires interaction with multiple stakeholders from multiple departments, and how can we get them together? So it was like a chicken with a head cut off process. So we help them streamline. How can you bring a cross-functional team, get all the information that you need, and put together the RFP as soon as possible, cutting the time to market in this case. This is some of the things that we have done, and if we have done it for others, we believe that we have the capability to serve your needs in the university in different areas. Next slide.
And it looks like,
Yeah, do you want to go ahead, Patricia?
Thank you. Hi. Thank you for this presentation. I'm curious, it's difficult to currently hire quickly at UIC, and also it's been tricky to get temp workers. And I'm wondering, can you tell about kind of the more junior team members that you could provide us? I'm curious, again, we're looking for some temporary assistance for a project, and I see you have project managers, project coordinators. Could you just speak about kind of the more junior team members that are available and their expertise?
Absolutely, Patricia. This is a good question,
Thank
and this
you.
is what we do. So we are members of PMI, and a lot of folks from this part from the college with 2 to 3 years of experience. They want to become project manager. So we bring them in. And we conduct a boot camp where we train them on the PMI methodology, on the Agile, and then we work on their experience. We help them deploy with our customers, but when they are deployed, we have to handhold them. They'll call us. So we have a team in place who can take their questions and answer the questions different. So we're building them up while they're delivering to the client. So this is our favorite because we had that capability. That is what business analysts, we do the same thing. A lot of people with traditional business analysts writing big requirements and stuff like that, we help them convert them into user stories, right? I know how to work with a team and how to get it delivered in 2 weeks of sprint, 3 weeks of sprint. So we bring that knowledge, deploy them as a junior product owner, not as a business, the junior product owner. They get immersed into that experience, delivered to the experience. So we build them up while we work with them. Same thing with the technology front. So Harish, he hired, we hired new people from the college who are, who has the theoretical understanding of the cloud, who has a theoretical understanding of how to work with, ServiceNow or so on and so forth. So when we deploy them, we are always in the back end. Every week, as Asha mentioned, every week we're talking to them. What are some of the gaps? What are the new situations that you're seeing in the client side that we can fill those gaps and we continue to add value? So this is in our core of the DNA, Patricia, but this is a very important question and we're very proud to do that.
Right. In addition to what Shashi is saying, Patricia, we do have a considerable, each of these roles that we have mentioned below, we do have folks who are probably in this, have experience of maybe 1 to 3 years category as well. So we have a pool of folks that we are currently training or working with or grooming, we have all these folks we can turn around quickly too, if there is a need.
Thank you. No, that's really a wonderful resource given the difficulty of getting temporary staffing. So thank you for sharing that.
Of course.
Absolutely.
I don't. Oh, go ahead, Shashi. Go ahead.
Yeah, I think this is some of the client base that we have. Chicago Public School, Illinois Ventures. We work with them very. I think they get a funding from the university as well. They work with a lot of ideators. The challenge that the CEO was facing was how can you bring idea to the market early so that we maximize the value of the money that they're putting in prototype building. So now you have this mechanical engineer, electrical engineer. Then you have these doctors. They all work in silos. How can we bring them together so that they can take their idea and make it more commercially feasible, earlier in the market? So that we did a lot of training on Agile, work with some of the teams. It's all about working with the culture that they have. So that is one thing. And then we have footprint in the private sector, and we have a lot of learnings from the private sector that we can bring and we can tailor what can benefit the university, especially working on a shoestring budget, but maximizing value. Jan, you want to take this?
Right. Thank you. I just wanted to be the bad guy and just do a time check here. I know people have been on this call for quite some time. We're so grateful for everybody who's been able to stay on. I know it's been a very productive time and a good business meeting this afternoon, but we get very excited about this and we get to talking, and it could be dinner time and we're still going to be yakking about how much fun we have working. So I just wanted to do a time check and do a quick hard stop to see if there were any other questions regarding staffing or some of the other capabilities that we bring. And if not, then what we'll do is just go ahead and wrap up. But I'll do a hard stop for just a minute, see if there are any questions, any other hands raised that I'm not seeing.
I don't see any hands raised and I don't see anything in the chat.
Okay, super. Thank you, Ginger. I would just again like to thank everybody for being on the call, sticking around, and thank you, Nadia, for coordinating this for us. We do get excited about who we are and what we are good at. And it's a very experienced team, but as Shashi and Asha explained to Patricia, it's also our team internally is experienced. We bring experience to you, but we can also help you with those either temporary or those more junior level positions from a staffing consideration. We're not just a staffing company. We do a lot of business advisory, of course, and a lot of professional guidance. And we are always keeping the client at the center. So we have been so thrilled for the work that we've done with the university system in the past. We've had a ton of fun. We've learned a lot. Hopefully other people have learned from us, and we look forward to some people that have called us back and said, hey, we need you to come back and help us again, or we've got a new project, or whatever the situation is. So we love what we do. I hope that comes through in what we've said today while we're trying to be honoring of everyone's time. And please reach out. Asha, could you just drop our website in the chat, or an email where people could reach us, and then we can share this presentation out as well. Nadia, do we share that out to you and ask you to send it around, or what would be the best way to do that? Or it gets posted? I think you're on mute, Nadia.
I was saying you can send it to me and then I can forward it to Asha and her team.
Yep. Sounds great.
Can I don't know if you can.
Yeah, we can hear you, Nadia.
Yeah, we got you. Yep, we got you. That sounds great. Thank you. Thank you. Are there any other questions, or anyone else from the Agilent End team? Do you want to chime in with, oh, I forgot to say that one thing. And other than wishing everybody, a happy Cicada Day, I'm wishing everyone happy Cicada Day these days, right? We all live in these days, so it's crazy. It's so loud at my house. So anybody have anything else they'd like to add before we wrap up our portion of the afternoon?
Jen, I want to thank Charlotte Roberts. I think she's a true servant leader. Every time we went to a vendor meeting, she was there to listen to us, and she would always ask, what is your differentiator? What can you bring to the table? And be very focused. She guided us, and she has been guiding us for the last 6 years that we have been talking to us. And I want to thank Charlotte for giving us this opportunity. She's a true servant leader.
Great. Anybody else, or any other final questions? We're coming up on almost 27 minutes, so we've been yakking, and I know you've been sitting in your seats or at your standing desks for a couple of hours now. So anything else for us? All right, I think that concludes it for us. We will share the presentation as discussed earlier. We thank everyone for your time and your participation. We look forward to working with hopefully some of you in the future. And if you have any questions about anything that we talked about today, like, hey, what is DevOps, or what does this mean, or you get something in the presentation, you don't know what it is, give us a call. We promise that we will rein it in. We will not talk to you all afternoon, but we're happy to explain whatever it is if you need some guidance in any area. So we thank you very much and wish everybody a great day. Thank you so much.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Nadia. Thank you, Ginger.
Thank you.
Thanks.
You're welcome.
Thanks, Jan, and to the whole team. And Nadia, if you want to get that presentation to Bernadette, we can make sure that it's part of the information that we send out from this meeting.
Okay. Thank you.
Yes. And then finally, I do just want to thank all of our presenters for today. There was a lot of information presented, and also a thank you to all of the participants for coming. We appreciate your time and hope that you found the information useful. And as a reminder, this is the last meeting for the academic year, and you will receive an email with future meeting dates. So please place those on your calendar. Additionally, following this meeting, you'll receive a link to the recorded presentation. And I wish you all a wonderful summer break, and we will see you in the fall for the system business and finance meetings, and in October for the business and finance symposium. So thanks again, and have a good rest of your day, everyone.
Thank you, everyone.
Everyone have a great holiday.
Thank you.
Thank you.